All right, so this is the Angular assignment. Let's take a look at it. So the Angular assignment is going to focus on implementing some use cases that are available to students, right? They're going to be able to consume some of the content that we've been building in other previous assignments, right? That focus on use cases that were targeting faculty, right? That they could create courses and whatnot. Instead, this is from the users, from the students' point of view, they can only consume that information, right? So from the student's point of view, they're gonna be able to navigate to a landing page, right, where they're going to be able to see all the courses that they're registered in, right? So this is similar to the course list that we implemented in previous assignments, but that implementation allows you to create courses, delete courses, change the names of the courses. Here is going to be a read-only page, right? Even though it's being rendered here as a skinny little list, it's really going to take up the entire screen, right? The entire width of the screen. But it's only going to show the name of the course, right, as a hyperlink, so that a student might select that they want to navigate to their 5610 or their 5200 course and see the content for that particular course. Make sense? Right? And that's going to be mapped to a URL, right, that we're going to be able to navigate between courses and your list of courses and the course details. When the student clicks on any one of these courses, they navigate to a separate screen, right? And that separate screen is a read-only version of the course editor that we saw earlier, that we implemented earlier. We're not going to be able to edit the course. Instead, we're going to be able to only view the course, right? So instead of implementing a course editor, we're going to implement a course viewer, right? In that course viewer, we're going to render the name of the course, right, that we selected on the list of courses, right? And we're also going to be render the list of modules that are specific to that one course. Okay. Also, if you click on a module, you'll be able to see the lessons for that particular module that you selected, right? And it'll highlight. Okay. In the same course viewer. So for this assignment, we're only going to focus on the list of courses, the list of modules, the name of the course, and the list of lessons. In later assignments, we'll handle topics and widgets. Not all widgets. We're only going to focus on just a couple more widgets. Quiz widgets, assignment widgets, things like that. We're not going to re-implement all the other widgets that we did on previous assignments. We're only going to focus on new widgets just to explore the use of Angular, Node, and Mongo. Okay. So for this assignment, it's just a list of courses, a list of modules, and a tabs of lessons. Topics are not for this assignment. Even though they're rendered here, we'll tackle them in a later assignment. Okay. So we're going to ask you to implement a REST client. Just like we had REST clients in React, right? But those REST clients were a little more sophisticated, right? We had all sorts of CRUD operations. We could create courses, we could delete courses, we could update courses. Here, we're only going to have two: find all courses or find course by ID. There is no create course. There's no delete course because students can't do that, right? Only those two use cases for courses. The find all courses will allow us to populate this list, yes? And the find course by ID is going to allow us to populate the name of a course, okay? Then, once you select a particular course, we're going to have to be able to find the modules for the current course, right? Which is going to be used to populate this list over here, right? So depending on which course you selected, we're going to have to fetch the modules for that course, okay? And once we select the module, we need to go fetch the lessons for that module. And for that, we have find lessons for module. Yes, right? The implementation is going to be using the same fetch. Excuse me, the same fetch URLs that we used in previous assignments. So you can take a look at those implementations. You can use the same exact fetch commands and then and response.json. It's the same exact code. Right? So if you want to copy some of that implementation here, you can do that. You create a couple of components. Components, which is going to render the table component, which is going to render this left-hand side. This list of courses. Render as a course. No need to do the grid representation. We're just going to do the table. right? In the React assignments, we had two renderings, right? We had the table rendering and the grid rendering. Here, we're just going to focus on the grid rendering. Okay, so I'm sorry, on the table rendering, and we'll implement it in the course table component. In a separate component called the course view component, it's going to render this screen over here, right? Which is going to have the modules on the left and the lesson tabs on the top. Okay, so the module list is going to be the left-hand side, and the tabs are going to be at the top, right? And the course viewer is going to render the modules on the left and the tabs at the top. Yes. So yeah, so you implement the course table component. Just render this list of courses coming from the server. The module list also coming from the server, and the lesson tabs also coming from the server. The URLs, for routing purposes, the way you navigate between all these, right? I'm suggesting to use these URLs, right, to navigate. It's the same routing ideas that we used in React, right? Where you create a router, right? You create several routes, yes, and then you decide which components render when a particular URL displays so we'll show you how to do that at the end of this week. We'll implement also the course viewer component, which basically just renders, grab the modules and the lessons and put them in the right place, and renders like this, right? And that's basically it. That's the assignment. For this first version of the assignment, we will give you most of the implementation, come Friday, right? Hopefully, we'll get you going as much as possible. Then you'll just have to focus on trying to get it running on your machine, deploying it, having this work and integrated with your own server as opposed to mine, right? And getting it up and running and making it work on your own, right? Later assignments will have less hand-holding on the Angular side, right? You'll get to practice more on your own. Yes, kind of following the same pattern that we did in React, right? The first couple assignments we did a lot of hand-holding. Yes, we gave you a lot of the code early on to get you going with the React, right? And as we progress and focus on additional technologies, we did less and less of hand-holding on the technologies that we had already covered, right? But did more hand-holding on newer technologies. Yes, so we're going to follow that same pattern here as well. Some conventions to keep in mind is that to make sure that the content that you're generating is polished, it looks professional, looks nice, and make sure that you're using white spaces correctly, right? That you're using padding around the content, that you're using margins between elements, that you're using a consistent look and feel, right? So these conventions are going to be also applicable to the project that you're going to be working on, yeah, that you're already working. The same conventions of making sure that you split it up into different folders, that you use the same naming convention, you put things in services, you put it under services, components under components. All those conventions still apply, yes, and they'll be applicable in your final project as well. So this is you should be practicing these things in your assignments as well. Okay. Deliverables, this application should be running on your Heroku or AWS or wherever you're going to be hosting this on a remote server. Okay. All right. Any questions on the assignment? All right. Excellent.